Hello and welcome to CIPD Bitesize. In this video, we're going to be looking at AC 1.5 from the 5002 evidence-based practice. Now, this is part of task 1, which is a total of 7 questions, 2,900 words, which is 414 words per AC. And you work for Technivara. Now, I'm not going to read the case study to you. You can pause and read the case study, but the case study is essential and has to be referenced in answering the question. So make sure you are up to speed with the case study. You are fully engrossed within the Technivara ecosystem, because if you don't reference them within your answer, will be a refer. Now, let's go to the question. Assess 2 different ethical perspectives, including how these could be used at Technivara to inform and influence decision making. So this is a bit of a complicated question. You're probably going to need to throw a couple of extra words, a bit more of your word count at this particular question, to be completely honest. 2 different ethical perspectives. So assess is your verb. So you're looking at it from more than one angle. You're assessing it. 2 different ethical perspectives, including how these could be used at the organization to inform and influence decision making. Now, what you're looking at doing is you need to ensure that you answer the verb. You need to break your question into action points. So action point 1 is ethical perspective 1, ethical perspective 2, but including how, like, this is how you assess the ethical perspective, and then you talk about how it could be used at Technivara. So if you think about, you're going to assess an ethical perspective, you're going to look at the pros and the cons of it, and then you're going to look at how it could be used at Technivara to inform and influence decision making. So that's the angle you're looking at. So ethical perspective 1, pros and cons of it, how it could be used at Technivara to improve decision making. Ethical perspective 2, how it could be used at Technivara to inform decision making. That's how you need to structure it out. Now, CIPD wanted to lay out your work the following way. You put AC 1.2 in the top right, left hand corner of your screen, and then you write your questions underneath. Now, to help you along with this, we do use answer plans. So this is our study plan. You put the question. This is what 1.5. Your verb is assess. Scenario required yes. The word count is 414. Action point 1, ethical perspective 1. Action point 2, ethical perspective 2. Here is an example of it filled in. And the references, which is what URLs, websites, information, structures are you going to use to inform yourself on this particular set of questions? How are you going to inform yourself of an ethical perspective that you're then going to reference within this question? Because you have to ensure that you're using external references when answering these particular questions. Okay, now to help you with that, we always provide some examples of recommended reading for you. And PSU.edu, which is what are ethical frameworks, CIPD guide, ethics at work and employers guide, and the CIPD fact sheet of ethical practice will help you understand different ethical perspectives, because you need to assess the pros and the cons of them, and then you need to use that assessment to inform how you would use it at Technivara. Okay, so that's some of the recommended reading that we would have for you. Again, all you've got to do is take what's on the screen, put it into Google, and it'll come up. If you're studying in the VLE, it'll be the next 3 links that you click through. So if you're enrolled with HRC Online, it'll be the next 3 links that you do, which is these documentation. Now, as always, to try and help you understand the question a little bit further, what we try to do is give you a fictitious scenario to try and help you understand the question. And for this particular one, we're going to make you a restaurant manager. So the scenario is the restaurant manager's dilemma. So a popular local restaurant called the Fork and Spoon is facing a dilemma. The restaurant's signature dish, a steak and kidney pie, has been a customer favorite for decades. However, a recent health inspection has revealed that the kidney meat used in the pie is from a source that might not adhere to the strictest animal welfare standards. So if we think about ethical perspectives and decision making, you've got utilitarianism. The restaurant manager could prioritize the overall happiness and well-being of the most people. If the majority of customers enjoy the pie and are unaware of the potential animal welfare issues, continuing to serve it may be the most beneficial choice. You've got dentology, which is the dentology approach would focus on the moral rules and duties. If the manager believes the animal welfare is a fundamental right, he may decide to stop serving the pie. regardless of the potential financial loss. You've got the virtue ethics. Virtue ethics emphasizes the character, traits, and habits. The manager who values compassion and kindness might choose to remove the pie from the menu out of concern for the animals involved in production. And then you've got the care ethics. The perspective emphasizes relationships and caring for others. The manager has a strong connection to the local community and knows many customers are concerned about animal welfare. They might decide to remove the pie to maintain their trust. Each ethical perspective offers different lens through which you can view a situation. The manager's decision will be influenced by their own ethical views and beliefs, and the specific context of the restaurant. An analogy highlights like the ethical considerations can shape decision making, and these are the types of things that you've got to assess two different ethical perspectives in this question. I think a lot of the time, ethics and ethical decision making and perspectives change depending on people, depending on generations, depending on personal beliefs, depending on religion. We see it so often in social media where people have different ethical perspectives and people get cancelled on social media because they haven't kept up with the changing tide of ethics. What was acceptable in terms of 2,000 years ago, where people would kill each other and take land and stuff like that, obviously isn't acceptable today. If we look at TV shows from even 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that they wouldn't be able to be on current TV because they don't match with the current worldview and ethics. If we think about Equalities Act and we think about pronouns and things like that, different ethical perspectives on those are changing all the time. So it's trying to understand that the world consistently moves, and then people have their own ethical views and people have their own ethical perspectives. And when you're faced with an ethical decision, you're never going to please everybody, but you have to necessarily keep true to yours and the organization as a whole's ethics and values. How do you assess that? By putting it through multiple lenses and understanding how things look through multiple lenses and sort of removing yourself from the situation and kind of coming at it from above. That's what the question's trying to make you do, which is remove your own ethical biases and look at things from multiple perspectives. Absolutely best of luck with this question. I'm sure you'll do absolutely great. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.